we're dreaming of reaching our first 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe and be the first to discover new stories every day. Picture this, man. I'm standing in my sister's backyard, the air thick with the smell of grilled burgers, balloons bobbing in the breeze, laughter mixing with the hum of a summer playlist. Lisa, my wife, is holding a drink, her eyes glinting as she chats with a cluster of guests, her voice sharp and performative. Then, out of nowhere, she drops a bomb, loud enough to cut through the chatter. At least my ex was a real man. Her words drip with disdain, each syllable a blade. My chest tightens, my fists clench, and I feel every eye on me, burning like a spotlight. My pulse hammers, my throat closes, but I just stand there, rooted, as she grabs her purse and storms off, her heels clicking like gunshots on the patio. The silence that follows is deafening, man. Where do you even go from that, dude? All right, let's rewind. You gotta know how this all started to get why it ended the way it did. 3 years ago, I'm just Mike, a 32-year-old history teacher at a high school in our small town. Not swimming in cash, but I love my job. Those moments when a kid's eyes light up because they finally get why the past matters? That's my fuel. I'm calm, maybe too calm sometimes, but I've always been the guy who thinks before he acts. Decisive when it counts, though, you know? I met Lisa at this cozy little cafe downtown, the kind with mismatched chairs and the smell of fresh coffee beans. I was clueless, trying to pick out a birthday gift for my niece, some artsy journal or something. Lisa, this radiant woman with a sketchbook tucked under her arm, saw me fumbling and swooped in. "Get her the one with the watercolor cover," she said, her warm smile hitting me like a wave. She was a freelance interior designer, all creativity and energy, with this knack for turning chaos into beauty. We hit it off right there, swapping stories over coffee, her laugh bright and infectious. By the end of the week, we were texting nonstop, and I was hooked. Our early days were magic, dude. Friday nights, we'd dim the lights in our little apartment, pop some popcorn, and binge old movies. Lisa curled up against me, her laugh filling the room like music. One evening, I came home from school, my bag heavy with ungraded essays, my eyes gritty from staring at papers. Lisa was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of chili, the air spicy and warm, steam curling from the stove. "Rough day?" she asked, glancing over with a grin, her hair tied back with a paint-splattered scrunchie. I nodded, dropping my bag, and she handed me a wooden spoon. "Stir this, hero," she said, bumping my hip. We stood side by side, her humming a tune, me teasing her about adding too much cumin. Later, we ate on the couch, bowls balanced on our knees, talking about dumb stuff, like what we'd name a dog if we got one. She said, "Mango." I said, "Lincoln," and we laughed until our sides hurt. That night, she fell asleep on my shoulder, her sketchbook open to a half-drawn room, and I just sat there, content, the world quiet and right. Another time, we were on the balcony of our apartment, the air cool, crickets chirping in the distance. Lisa had found a vintage lamp at a flea market, its soft glow lighting up her face as she sketched. "Come here," she said, grabbing my hand and pulling me to sit on a mismatched chair. She talked about turning our spare room into a studio one day, her voice bright with dreams, big windows, shelves for her art supplies. I sipped a beer, nodding, picturing a life where we'd build that together. Her hand rested on my knee, warm and steady, and I felt like we could do anything. We'd take spontaneous road trips in my beat-up Honda, no plan, just driving to small towns, eating at diners, snapping goofy photos by random roadside signs. One time, we got lost in a tiny town an hour away, our GPS useless. Lisa was navigating, pointing at a faded map from the glove box. "You're hopeless, Mike," she teased, her eyes sparkling as she misread the map for the third time. I shot back, "Says the one who thinks north is uphill." We bickered, laughing, until we pulled over by a sunflower field, the sunset glowing orange. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her fingers laced with mine, the argument forgotten. That's when I knew I loved her, man. Mornings were my favorite. I'd read her bits from the news while she brewed coffee, her hair a mess, humming some tune. One morning, she was stressing about a client pitch, sketches scattered across the kitchen table. I sat beside her, gluing fabric swatches to her mood board, my hands sticky with adhesive. "You're my hero," she said, kissing my cheek, leaving a smudge of glitter. I grinned, my chest warm, thinking we were unstoppable. Our place was small but ours. Creaky wooden floors, a secondhand couch, Lisa's colorful sketches pinned to the fridge. She'd leave sticky notes with doodles on my lunch bag, smiley faces, hearts. Once a cartoon of me as a knight in armor. You ever had that feeling where you're just content, like the world's in the right place? That was us, man. Simple but good. But nothing stays perfect, right? About a year in, I started noticing shifts. Lisa's jokes got sharper, like they had teeth. We're at dinner with friends, a cozy Italian place. Candles flickering, the smell of garlic bread thick in the air. I'm debating between the burger or pasta, taking my time, tracing my finger down the menu. Lisa rolls her eyes, her voice loud over the clink of glasses. God, Mike, just pick something. You're so soft sometimes. Everyone laughs, but it lands like a punch. My throat tightens, my fork frozen midair, my eyes locked on the sauce-stained plate as I blink fast to keep the sting at bay. I force a smile, muttering, yeah, but my jaws tense, my stomach churning, the taste of wine sour in my mouth. I let it slide, thinking it's just her being playful. I'm not a pushover, but I don't sweat the small stuff. Or so I thought. The jabs kept coming. At a barbecue, the air heavy with smoke and summer heat, she's chatting with her friend Sarah, her voice carrying over the sizzle of the grill. Mike's sweet, but he's not exactly rolling in ambition. I'm flipping burgers, my back to her, but my stomach knots up, the spatula heavy in my hand. My grip on the tongs tightens, my knuckles white, the heat from the grill stinging my face. I'm a teacher, man, not a CEO, but I pay our bills, keep the fridge stocked. Why is that not enough? Later, in the car, the engine humming. I bring it up, my voice steady but firm. Lisa, that stuff about my job. What's that about? She laughs, brushing it off, her eyes glued to her phone, the screen's glow lighting her face. Oh, come on, Mike, it's just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. Her tone has this edge, like I'm overreacting. I stare at the road, my hands gripping the wheel, the dashboard lights blurring as I swallow the urge to snap back. You ever had someone make you question yourself? Dude, like you're the problem for noticing? Things got colder at home. Our movie nights? She started skipping them, claiming client deadlines, the TV screen dark and silent. I'd find her on the couch, scrolling her phone, her thumb flicking endlessly. When I tried to cuddle up, her body stiffening under my touch. The coffee ritual stopped. She'd sleep in or leave early for meetings, the kitchen quiet except for the drip of the faucet. One evening, I came home, the apartment smelling faintly of her lavender lotion, and found her sketching, her face tense, her pencil scratching sharply. I tried to joke, saving the world, one living room at a time. She didn't look up, just muttered, "Not now, Mike." Her voice clipped. My chest felt heavy, like I was losing her piece by piece, the air between us thick with something I couldn't name. The intimacy thing hit harder. She'd dodge my touch, citing headaches or stress. One night, I reached for her, my hand brushing her arm, the bedsheet cool under my fingers. She pulled away, her voice flat, almost annoyed. Not tonight, okay? I'm exhausted. I rolled over, my throat tight, the mattress creaking as I faced the wall, feeling like a stranger in my own bed. My heart raced, my mind spinning. Does she even want me anymore? The spot where she slept felt cold, her back a wall between us. I didn't push, thinking she needed space, but it kept happening. Weeks turned into months, and I'd lie there, staring at the dark, my chest aching. The silence louder than any fight. You know that fear, man, when you're scared to ask because the answer might break you. For a brief moment, I thought we were turning a corner. One weekend, Lisa seemed like her old self. Friday morning, she woke up early, brewed coffee, the rich smell filling the kitchen, and slid into my lap while I read the news, her arms around my neck. "Missed this," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear, her hair tickling my cheek. My heart lifted, the weight in my chest easing, like sunlight breaking through clouds. That night, we walked downtown, the air crisp, streetlights casting long shadows. I told a dumb joke about a student's history essay, something about Cleopatra and emojis, and she laughed, her real laugh, the one that crinkled her eyes, echoing off the brick storefronts. She grabbed my hand, swinging it as we walked, her fingers warm in mine, and I felt like we were us again. I stopped at a bookstore, the bell jingling as we entered, and bought her a small sketchbook with a floral cover. "For your next big idea," I said, grinning, my chest tight with hope. She kissed me, her lips soft, lingering, and I thought, maybe we're back. The next day, she left a sticky note on my coffee mug. "Miss you," with a tiny heart drawn in blue ink. I carried it in my pocket all day, rereading it between classes, the paper crinkling under my fingers, my heart lighter than it had been in months. Saturday night, we cooked together, her chopping peppers, the knife clicking on the board, me stirring sauce, the kitchen warm with the smell of garlic and tomatoes. She laughed when I spilled flour, smearing some on my nose with a playful swipe, and for a second, it felt like the old days, our elbows bumping, the radio humming softly. I went to bed hopeful, picturing more nights like this, her hand in mine, thinking maybe she still loved me. I planned a surprise dinner for Sunday, imagining us laughing, the table set with her favorite wine. But Sunday evening, I came home with groceries, the plastic bags crinkling, my arms full, ready to cook. Lisa was on the phone in the living room, her voice sharp, cutting through the quiet. "Yeah, I'll be there," she said, hanging up as I walked in, her eyes flicking past me like I was furniture. "Client meeting," she muttered, grabbing her coat, her movements quick, dismissive. "Don't wait up." My stomach sank, the note in my pocket heavy as a stone. I stood in the kitchen, bags still in hand, the silence deafening, the smell of the unopened groceries, fresh basil and lemons, mocking me. The chili we'd made Friday sat untouched in the fridge, the container cold. I set the bags down, my hands shaking, and sank into a chair, staring at the empty spot where she'd laughed just days ago. My throat tightened, my fingers tracing the edge of the table, the wood cool and unyielding. You ever feel hope slip through your fingers, man, like you're chasing something that's already gone? The real crack came when she canceled our anniversary trip. We'd planned a weekend at a cabin by the lake. Nothing fancy, just a chance to reconnect, the kind of place with pine trees and a creaky dock. I'd been picturing it for weeks. Us hiking, laughing, maybe finding that spark again. 2 days before, I'm in our bedroom, folding flannel shirts, the suitcase open on the bed, the zippers hum loud in the quiet. Lisa walks in, her heels clicking, barely looking at me. "I can't go," she says, her voice casual, like she's canceling a coffee date. "Client needs me to finish a project." My heart sinks, my hands pausing over the soft fabric, the room suddenly too small. "Lisa, this is our anniversary," I say, keeping my tone even but firm, my fingers gripping the shirt, the flannel rough under my thumbs. "You couldn't push it back a couple days?" She sighs, rolling her eyes, her arms crossed, her nails tapping her elbow. "Mike, it's work. You wouldn't get it. You don't have high-stakes deadlines." Her words hit like a slap, my jaw clenching, a heat rising in my chest, my pulse loud in my ears. "Don't do that," I say, my voice low, almost a growl, my eyes locked on hers, her reflection sharp in the dim light. "Don't act like what I do doesn't matter. We planned this together." She smirks, her head tilting, her earrings catching the light. "Oh, please. You're blowing this out of proportion. It's just a trip." Her tone's mocking, like I'm a kid throwing a tantrum, her words slicing deeper than I expect. I lose it, my voice rising, my hands gripping my hair, the strands pulling tight. "Just a trip? Lisa, we haven't had a real moment together in months. You're shutting me out, and I'm done pretending it's fine." My pulse hammers, my face hot, my breath uneven, the room spinning. She stares, her lips tight, her eyes cold, then grabs her keys, the jangle sharp, and walks out, the door slamming like a gunshot. I'm left in the quiet, my chest heaving, my hands shaking, feeling like I screamed into a void. I sink onto the bed, the suitcase still open, my throat raw. That night, I sleep on the couch, my back stiff, staring at the ceiling, her words echoing. "You don't have high-stakes deadlines." Later, I'm in the kitchen, the faucet running to mask my frustration, muttering to myself, "She doesn't get it. She doesn't get it." The water's roar drowns out my voice, my hands gripping the sink, my knuckles white, my reflection blurry in the stainless steel. I shut it off, the silence heavy, and lean against the counter, my chest tight, wondering how we got here. She came back late, her face unreadable, her heels clicking softly. I sat up, my voice steady but my stomach churning. "We fix this, or we're done." She nodded, eyes down, promising to try, her voice barely a whisper. I wanted to believe her, man, but my gut twisted, like I was holding on to a lie. You ever cling to hope, even when it feels hollow? For a while, it seemed like she was trying. She joined me for coffee a few mornings, the mug warm in my hands. Even left that "miss you" note, its blue ink smudged from my fingers. But it faded fast. The jabs came back, sharper, like she was testing how much I'd take. At a friend's game night, the living room loud with laughter and clinking beer bottles, she said, loud enough for everyone, "Mike's too nice to ever make big money." My face burned, my hands trembling under the table as I forced a laugh, my fingers crumpling a napkin. Our friend Tom caught my eye, his look pitying, making my gut twist. I stared at my cards, the numbers blurring, my throat too tight to speak. One Sunday, we went to my parents' house for dinner. The dining room was warm, Mom's roast chicken filling the air with savory comfort, the table set with her old floral plates. Lisa was quiet, scrolling her phone under the table, the screen's glow flickering on her face. I tried to keep things light, joking about Dad's old fishing stories, his exaggerated tales of the one that got away. Lisa looked up, her smile thin, her voice cutting. Mike's always so content with the simple stuff, huh? Some people dream bigger. The words landed like a jab, the room quieting for a split second. My parents exchanged a glance, Mom's brow furrowing, Dad's fork pausing midair. I forced a chuckle, my fork scraping the plate, my stomach tight, the chicken tasting like ash. After dinner, Mom pulled me aside in the kitchen, the smell of dish soap sharp, her hand on my arm. "Mike, you okay?" she asked, her voice soft, her eyes searching mine. I smiled, my throat tight, and said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine." But I couldn't meet her gaze, my chest heavy with shame, the weight of their worry pressing down. You ever feel like your family sees you breaking, but you can't admit it? One night, I'm in the kitchen, cooking pasta, the air thick with garlic and tomatoes, the pot hissing softly. Lisa comes home, her bag thumping on the counter, her spoon clinking loudly against a coffee mug as she stirs sugar in, each scrape grating on my nerves. "Smells like a cheap restaurant in here," she says, her tone biting, her eyes not meeting mine. My grip tightens on the wooden spoon, my temples pulsing, my jaw set. "You could have cooked, Lisa," I say, my voice cold, the words sharp in the quiet. She snorts, grabbing a soda from the fridge, the can hissing as it opens. "Yeah, right. You'd probably say it's not good enough." Her sarcasm stings, and she walks out to the living room. Her steps sharp on the hardwood. I stir the sauce, my knuckles white, my breath shallow, the steam hot on my face. I turn on the faucet, letting the water roar, and mutter to myself, "I'm trying, damn it." My voice lost in the rush, my hands trembling against the sink. Sometimes, I catch myself remembering a moment from one of our road trips. We'd stopped at a gas station, rain pouring, no umbrella, the air sharp with petrichor. Lisa laughed, pulling me into the downpour, her hair sticking to her face, her shirt clinging to her shoulders. "Come on, Mike, live a little," she said, spinning in the wet parking lot, her laughter bright. I grabbed her, both of us soaked, laughing like idiots, the rain cold on my skin. Now, standing in our kitchen, the memory stabs me, sharp and sudden. That Lisa's gone, and I'm left with this stranger who can't stand me. You ever miss someone who's still right there, man? I confided in my buddy Jake, a fellow teacher. Over lunch in the staff room, the smell of microwave leftovers heavy, I spilled it all. Her comments, the distance, the way I felt like I was failing her. Jake leaned back, chewing his sandwich, his eyes steady. "Man, she's testing you. You gotta call her out, not just take it." His voice was calm but serious, his words cutting through my fog. I nodded, my throat tight, knowing he was right but dreading the fight. I sat there, picking at my food, my stomach in knots, stuck between wanting to fix it and fearing it was already broken. Things got worse when I ran into Lisa's best friend, Kate, at the park. I was jogging, sweat dripping, my sneakers pounding the gravel, trying to clear my head. Kate waved me over, her camera slung around her neck, her bluntness as sharp as ever. We chatted about nothing for a bit, the breeze cool against my skin. Then she got this look, like she was weighing her words. "Mike," she said, her voice low, almost swallowed by the rustle of leaves. "Lisa's been talking. Says you're too passive, that she's bored. She misses excitement." My stomach dropped, like I'd been punched, the air knocked out of me. My breath caught, my eyes stinging as I looked away, the trees blurring into green streaks. "Excitement," I said, my voice hoarse, my hands stuffed in my pockets to hide the shaking, the gravel sharp under my feet. "What? I'm not enough because I don't start fights or make millions." Kate shrugged, her eyes soft but honest, her camera strap twisting in her fingers. "I'm just telling you what she said. I think she's struggling, but it's not fair to you." She paused, then added, her voice quieter, "She's been bringing up her ex a lot." That hit like a brick, my chest tightening, a cold sweat prickling my neck. I thanked her, my voice flat, and jogged home, my mind racing, my legs heavy, each step thudding like a heartbeat. Lisa comparing me to her ex? That was a new low. You ever feel like you're drowning in someone else's version of you? Man, like you're fighting to remember who you are? The real blow came at my sister Jin's 35th birthday party. Her backyard was decked out, string lights twinkling, music blaring, maybe 30 people laughing and eating, the air heavy with charcoal and beer. I was at the grill, joking with Jin's husband about his terrible golf swing, the sizzle of burgers loud in my ears. Lisa was nearby, talking to guests, her voice loud, animated, like she was performing for a crowd. I caught snippets, her laughing about some guy who knew how to take charge. My gut twisted, a warning bell, but I kept flipping burgers, the heat stinging my knuckles, telling myself it was nothing. Then it came, sharp and deliberate, her voice cutting through the chatter like a knife. My ex, Ryan, he'd have taken charge of this whole thing. He was a real man, not just standing around. The words hung in the air, heavy, venomous. Heads turned, a guest laughed choking off, my sister freezing mid-step, her eyes darting to me. My face went hot, my heart pounding so hard I thought it had burst, the spatula trembling in my hand. I set the tongs down, the metal clinking against the grill, my hands shaking as I turned to her. "Lisa," I said, my voice low, raw with rage. My eyes locked on hers, her smirk sharp in the firelight. "What the hell?" The yard went quiet, the music suddenly too loud, a pop song jarring against the tension. She tossed her hair, her smirk widening, her drink glinting in her hand. "Oh, relax, Mike. It's just a joke." Her tone was venomous, her eyes daring me to react, the guest's whispers buzzing like static. My chest heaved, my fists clenched, every muscle screaming to yell, to call her out in front of everyone. Instead, I turned back to the grill, my hands shaking as I flipped a burger, the sizzle loud in my ears, my vision blurring. She grabbed her purse, her heels clicking as she stormed out, the gate slamming behind her. The weight of every stare pressed into me, Jin's hand on my arm gentle but useless. I shook my head, my throat too tight to speak, the smell of charred meat turning my stomach. You ever been humiliated like that, dude, where you can't even look people in the eye? I drove home alone, my knuckles white on the steering wheel, her words looping, a real man. I replayed our first road trip, her laughing as we got lost, her hand warm in mine. Now she was tearing me down in front of strangers, her voice a blade I couldn't dodge. My chest ached, not with sadness but with raw, burning anger. I pulled over halfway home, the engine idling, my hands trembling so hard I couldn't grip the key to turn it off. My breath hitched, my eyes burning, and I slammed my fist against the dashboard, the pain sharp, grounding. I was done. When I got home, I sat on the couch in the dark, the apartment silent except for the hum of the fridge, its faint buzz a steady pulse. I rehearsed what I'd say, my mind racing, calm but firm, no backing down, the words forming and dissolving like smoke. My hands were clasped tight, my jaw set, my pulse steady but heavy, the couch's worn fabric rough under my fingers. Lisa walked in hours later, her heels clicking, her keys jangling as they hit the counter, her shadow sharp against the wall. She didn't look at me, her movements quick, like I was just part of the furniture. I stood, my shadow stretching long across the floor, my voice cold, cutting through the quiet. "Lisa, we're done. If your ex was so great, go back to him. I'm filing for divorce." The words felt like stones, heavy but final, each one landing with a weight I hadn't expected. Her eyes widened, panic flickering, her hands freezing mid-motion as she reached for her phone. "Mike, wait," she said, her voice softer, almost pleading, her fingers fidgeting with her sleeve. "I didn't mean it like that. You're overreacting." Her words were hollow, her eyes darting away, unable to hold mine. "No, I'm not," I said, my voice low, unyielding, my gaze hard, pinning her in place. "You've been tearing me down for months. I'm not your punching bag." My hands trembled, but my resolve didn't, my feet planted firm on the creaky floor. I grabbed a bag, stuffed in some clothes, shirts, jeans, whatever my hands found, the zipper loud in the silence. I walked out, my steps echoing in the hall, each one lighter than the last. In the car, I drove a few blocks, then pulled over, my chest heaving, the streetlights blurring through the windshield. My eyes burned, and for the first time in months, I let myself cry, not from pain, but from release, like a knot unraveling, the tears hot on my cheeks. I made it to Jake's, collapsing on his couch, the springs creaking under me. I slept deeper than I had in years, no tension gripping my chest, the room quiet except for the hum of his fridge. She texted later, long paragraphs about how I was abandoning her, how she wanted to save us. I read them, my stomach twisting, but I didn't reply, the phone's glow cold in my hand. She'd had her chances. I filed the papers the next week, my hand steady as I signed, the pen scratched loud in the lawyer's office. It wasn't easy, man, but it was right. You ever walk away from something you wanted to fix, just because it was killing you? 6 months later, I'm in a new apartment, small, bare walls, a few boxes still unpacked, the air smelling faintly of fresh paint. The first night, I sat on the floor, a beer in hand, the silence loud without Lisa's sketches or her humming. I expected pain, a wave of regret, but instead, I felt this strange lightness, like I could breathe again, the air clean in my lungs. I was scared to admit it, like I was betraying the life we'd planned, the studio we dreamed of, the dog we never named. But each day, the weight lifted. I'd wake up, make my own coffee, the machine gurgling, and play music loud while grading papers, the bass vibrating through the floor. One evening, I caught myself humming a random tune, and I laughed. When was the last time I did that? At school, I started coaching the debate team, and man, seeing those kids argue with fire in their eyes, their voices sharp and confident, it's like I'm remembering who I am. One afternoon, I was grading in my classroom, the room quiet except for the hum of the heater, the chalkboard smudged from the day's lessons. I'd left the stove on in the staff room earlier, nearly burning a pot of soup, my mind elsewhere. Sarah, a math teacher, noticed, shutting it off with a raised eyebrow. "You okay, Mike?" she asked, her voice gentle but pointed. I nodded, forcing a smile, but my hands shook as I gripped my pen, my chest tight. I'm falling apart, and they're seeing it, I thought, the realization sharp, like a pinprick. It was humbling, man, knowing I wasn't hiding it as well as I thought. Another day, a student, Emma, lingered after class, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her sneakers scuffing the floor. "Mr. Johnson, you okay?" she asked, her eyes searching mine, her voice soft but steady. I froze, my pen pausing over a paper, the red ink pooling. I hadn't realized anyone noticed the way my shoulders slumped those days, the way my smiles didn't reach my eyes. "I'm good, Emma," I said, forcing a grin, but my throat tightened, my fingers gripping the desk. After she left, I sat there, staring at the empty classroom, the desk scratched and worn. I didn't even know kids could see me breaking. I thought, my chest heavy but warmed by her care, like a crack of light in the fog. One night, I met Jake for drinks at a dive bar, the jukebox blaring old rock, the air thick with cigarette smoke and spilled beer. He told a dumb story about a student's prank, something about a fake spider in the principal's desk, and I laughed, a real, deep laugh that shook my shoulders, my beer sloshing. Jake grinned, clapping my back, his hand heavy. "There's the old Mike," he said, his eyes warm. Later, as we nursed our beers, the bottles sweating, he leaned in, his voice serious. "Man, I thought you'd break, you know? But you're tougher than I gave you credit for. Proud of you, brother." I nodded, my throat tight, a warmth spreading in my chest, his words settling like an anchor. My shoulders aren't tense anymore. My chest doesn't ache when I wake up. I'm free, dude, and it feels better than I thought it would. 2 months after the divorce, I got a text from Lisa, late at night, the phone buzzing on my nightstand. "You really not coming back?" it read, followed by a string of messages about regret, about missing me. I stared at the screen, the blue light harsh, my thumb hovering over the reply button. My chest twinged, a flicker of the old hope, but it faded fast. I set the phone down, face down, and turned off the lamp, the darkness calm. I didn't know her a response, not anymore. Last month, I ran into Lisa at the grocery store, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. She was in the cereal aisle, her cart half full, her eyes tired, the spark gone, her hair pulled back messily. "Mike," she said, her voice shaky, her fingers gripping the cart's handle, her knuckles pale. "I messed up. I didn't realize what I had." Her eyes searched mine, raw with regret, her voice cracking. I paused, my hand on a box of oatmeal, the cardboard cool, my breath steady. A year ago, I'd have crumbled, my heart racing, my words stumbling. Now, I felt nothing but calm. The aisles hummed distant, like white noise. "I'm good, Lisa," I said, my voice even, a hint of sarcasm curling my smile, my eyes steady on hers. "I hope you find what you're looking for." I turned, my steps light, the cart's wheels squeaking behind me as I left her standing there, her cart unmoving, her reflection faint in the glass freezer doors. A few weeks ago, I stopped by that same cafe where I met Lisa, the one with the mismatched chairs and the smell of coffee beans. I sat by the window, the glass cool against my arm, a mug steaming in my hands. The place was the same worn tables, same hum of conversation, but I wasn't. I watched people pass by outside, their shadows shifting in the evening light, and felt this quiet strength, like I'd rebuilt something solid inside me. I didn't need her doodles or her laugh to feel whole. I was enough, man, and that was new. So here I am, man, sitting across from you, sipping this soda, the bubbles sharp on my tongue, telling you how it all went down. I'm not gonna lie, there are nights I miss the old Lisa, the one who'd doodle on my lunch bag or pull me into the rain, laughing like we had forever. But that Lisa's gone, and I'm not chasing ghosts. I've got my kids at school, their debates firing me up, my friends, my own space with its bare walls and loud music. I'm not looking back. You ever come out the other side of something and realize